to the TorontoWebsiteDeveloper.com. I am Peter Yorski, the Toronto Website Developer specializing in Drupal, and this is the fourth video tutorial in this 10-part video tutorial series on the Views module. In the previous video tutorial, we took a look at headers, footers, creating pages, as well as providing menus and paths. So we're going to continue on with that theme in this video tutorial, and we're going to look at creating blocks, how we position those blocks, what blocks are, as well as creating attachments. Attachments are kind of a cool tool in Views that you can use, and so I'll show you how to do that, introduce you to those, and then we'll also look at exposing filters. So to do so, let's get right back into where we were before. If you remember, we created our view dog images, and then we actually created 2 additional views and made those menu items. And so we have Bailey images, and we've got Susie images. And what we actually did to do this was we created 2 new views and overrode the defaults that we had. So we'll go right into edit the view, because we're going to continue working with this one. So just as I mentioned, remember we have our actual our page for all dog images, and we don't really have much filter criteria except for published and then the taxonomy term dog images, or it's got to be in the vocabulary. And then we created our page for Susie, and we went ahead and we overrode those. So continuing from that, we're going to actually go and we'll click add here. We're going to add a block. And if you're not familiar with blocks in Drupal, you can check out my UberCart video tutorial series. I think it's one of the first video tutorials. We look at common terminology in Drupal, and part of that is nodes, but blocks, as well as a few other things. So check that out if you're not really sure what's going on here. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to change our display name just like we did with the previous views that we had. So we're going to create this block, and we're going to do all dog images as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to place this block on every other page besides dog images to try to entice users to check out images of Bailey and Susie. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the format settings here. So it's no longer going to be grid. And remember, we've got to make sure that this is going to be overridden. So we're going to say just for this block, we'll make it we'll keep it with the grid, but what we're going to do is change the settings so that rather than 4 columns, it's only going to be 2. And we'll apply that. So that's now overridden, and we know it's overridden because it's in italics. So we've got our dog images. We're going to keep the title, we're going to keep the image, and we're going to keep, we'll get rid of the name here. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove that. And then the block name. So what we're going to do is provide a specific name. So this is when we actually go to place the block, we'll see what this is. So all dog images, we'll hit apply. Now what we actually want to do as well is we want to override this field content image, because we know that our images are pretty big, and if we're going to put this in a sidebar block, we need them to be a little bit smaller. So here, first thing we need to do is override this block. And we're going to choose thumbnail specifically, right? These image styles are coming up because of preconditions that we have on our site, so I'll show you those in a sec. But if you don't have thumbnail, I'll show you why that might be and how you can create it. So we'll go ahead and we'll choose thumbnail. We're going to link it to content and apply to this display. Right, and so now you see that fields is kind of overwritten here. And let's check this out just to make sure that it applied properly. So it is overridden, so we're good, so we can cancel that. Now just brief sidebar, just as I mentioned, if you didn't have those image styles, you can go to add image styles. So if I'll just open this in a new window just so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Here's thumbnail, and if we edit, you'll see that it'll take the actual size and it'll scale it down to 100 by 100, right? So we can close that. So that's where that's coming from. So now if we scroll down, we'll see that we can actually get a preview of what this block will look like. A little bit deceiving because it's actually showing it up in the content area, or what would be a content area, so it's the whole width of the screen. But let's go ahead and we'll save that. Great, so now with that saved, let's go to structure blocks. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we'll see a list of all of our blocks on the site. And you'll see here, all dog images, that's the name that we gave our block from our view, and we'll put this in the sidebar first. So now if we scroll up here, we'll see that it's listed. Now it used to be a little bit weird where if you put this, you positioned it and then when you moved it, Drupal wouldn't always save that. So I haven't tried that in a while, but let's go ahead and we'll save it. And we'll see we've got all dog images there. And so I'll open a new window because there's a couple things we're going to do here. And there we go, we've got all dog images. But again, we're a little bit wider than what we should be. Our theme is defining a width of probably, I'm assuming, about 200. It's got some padding in there, so it's not really showing properly. So what we'll do is we'll go and we can edit the view. We'll keep it in a grid, but let's go to one column. We'll save this, and when we save it, it'll actually take us back to the previous page that we were on. And now we've got a little bit of a cleaner look, right? So we've got 5 images, most recent, and it's something to entice users to check out our actual gallery. So just briefly, it's not really part of the view, but what we can do is we can go to all dog images, we can go to configure the block, and what we'll do is we'll show it on all pages except, let's just check this out, so dog images. So it won't show up on dog images, and we don't want it to show up on anything past dog images, right? So to do that, you use the wildcard, and the wildcard is an asterisk, and what that means is anything past the path of dog images / this block won't show up for. So I'll just close that. I'll reload this page, and you'll see that we still have dog images. We have the block that we created in views, right? And if you wanted to change the look and feel of this, you could apply some CSS beyond the scope of this video tutorial. But also, if we go into dog images now, you'll see that the block's gone. And if we go to Bailey images, again, the block's not here because we don't want to entice people into dog images when they're already here. But if you go to any other page on the site, you've got this block here that's created by views. So that's blocks. That's how you use them. That's how you create them. But now let's go back into our view, and I'll show you. We'll do it from dog images. I'll edit this view, and we're going to add an attachment. And what that attachment is going to do is we're going to show users the most recent dog image that was created on the site. Not too earth-shattering, and there are a whole bunch of different reasons why you might want to use an attachment. My favorite, and the one that I've got a video tutorial on, is if you're doing a store locator or a postal code lookup. What you can do is you can create an attachment that's a Gmap, so a Google map. Gmap is the module, on top of a list of all of your actual locations. So you get this map that shows all these pinpoints, and then you've got a list of all the locations below. Cool way to use an attachment. So I'll introduce you to that. So you're going to go ahead and go add. We're going to add an attachment. And so this attachment has specific attachment settings. But before we get to that, we'll go ahead and we will change some things here. So for title, we're going to leave it as, let's leave it as blank. We'll go ahead and we only want it to apply to this attachment. So this setting, actually, sorry, rather than a grid, what we're going to do is override again. We're going to do an unformatted list. So we're not going to get any formatting for this. And again, we're going to go ahead and we'll rearrange because we want to take the title out. So we want to override this, remove the title. So it's just the image. And again, it's published, it's dog picture, and it's our post date. So it's our most recent. Items to display, we only want to display one. And oh, you know what? We've done a few things here wrong. This one we forgot to override. Remember, always override. Apply. So we gotta go back to dog images. Make sure it's 10. We're good there. Hopefully we didn't screw up our view, but we can always change that. So we're good, dog images, just the one image. And now, attach to, what we're going to do is go ahead and attach this to page all dogs. So you have an ability to attach it to everything here, right? So you can attach it to the master, you can attach it to the page. All of the views that are within this specific view that you created are available. So we're going to create that and attach it to dog images. It's going to be, you have the option to do this before or after, or both. So what that means is the view that you're attaching to, it will have its content. So you can go ahead and attach it above that or attach it below that. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit apply. Now, if we were using filters, so contextual filters, right? What used to be arguments. You could go ahead and you could inherit that. Yes, so I'll leave it. We're not using that, so that's okay. And exposed filters, right? So I'll be introducing you to those after. You can inherit those as well. And then again, if you want to add certain specific permissions just for this attachment, you can do that as well. So a pretty cool tool that we've got available at our disposal. So let's go ahead and save that. And actually what we should have done is attachment, most recent dog image. Hit apply. And now we'll save that. Great, so with that set up, we can go back to our page, look at dog images, and see we've got one dog image right here. So it's not exactly what we're looking for because we don't want this little thumbnail showing up. So let's go ahead and we can edit the view. And if we go back to our attachment, we'll go ahead and this is already overridden, so we're good. And what we'll do is we'll make this the banner style. Link it to its content there. And let's give this title the most recently added. Right, so let's go ahead and we'll save that. So there we go. So we can go here, we can go dog images. And there we go, that looks a little bit better. So we've got our actual most recent dog image here, and then we've got the ones below. If we click on Bailey images, we're going to see that that disappears. Susie images, that disappears because it's only associated with the one view dog images. And you'll notice that our title isn't showing up here. Not entirely sure why that is. Something I'll have to look at and get back to you on. So now we've looked at creating a block, we've looked at the attachment. Again, pretty powerful attachments. If you come up with pretty cool different ideas on how to use them, I'll by all means post on the YouTube comments or my website comments just so we can know. It'd be interesting to hear how you're using them. But lastly, what we want to check out is exposed filters. I mentioned them here on the attachment that we can inherit exposed filters, but we didn't really talk about what they are. So the best way to do it is we'll probably change up our view here. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is create a new view that's all images. But rather than create these subpages in case we have hundreds of dogs, we can go ahead and create an exposed filter that allows users to actually see the names of the dogs and choose what they want to see rather than go to these different menus. So to do that, and add a page. And so this page path, we'll call this dog images all. We'll call this all dog images. All right, so we'll leave it as grid. We got the title, we got the image. We have published, yes. Now we have the content type dog. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to add a new filter. So what we want to do is choose content field dog. That's our taxonomy term. We can go ahead and apply this. And then we'll choose a drop down. So we'll go ahead and apply that. Because users might not necessarily know the names of all the dogs on the site. And here we've got the ability to expose this filter to visitors to allow them to change it. Let's go ahead and click that off. It's not required. And then this label here is going to be what users see to prompt them to understand what they're looking at. So select a dog to filter pictures. I don't know, that's terrible, but whatever. So it's one of. And then we'll allow multiple selections so they can choose one, two, three, however many they want. If we wanted to, if we had a bunch of dogs but we didn't want to show them all, we could limit the items in there to a selected list. So we would go ahead and limit that, choose the dogs that we wanted to show. And again, we have the ability for users to remember the last selection. And then this reduced duplicates. We don't really need to use it here. This kind of can come up in various scenarios. Kind of hard to explain. I guess maybe I'll take a look at it in a later video tutorial. Essentially what can happen is, let's say taxonomy terms. If you're listing taxonomy terms, and you're doing it by node rather than by the taxonomy terms themselves. So you could have multiple taxonomy terms showing up because node is referenced with multiple taxonomies. I know this is so confusing, but anyways, this reduced duplicates would help eliminate that, so you wouldn't see the same taxonomy term multiple times. If that confused you, please just ignore it. We'll probably take a look at it in a later video tutorial. And lastly, if you wanted to make this required so that users had to choose the dog to see, you could do that. But we'll go ahead and hit apply to this display. And now we've got our exposed filter and the rest of the stuff that we're not really going to change here. So actually, you know what we will do is we'll go no menu. And I probably am going to screw this up, but I want it to be a menu tab. Hit apply. All right, last thing we got to do is we're just going to change this to page all dogs with exposed filter. Let's go ahead and save that. Great, so now we've got that, so we can go ahead and we'll go to dog images, see if our menu actually worked. Oh, it did work, nice. So we've got all images. And then when we go to all images, we see we've got this ability to select filter dog images, and we can go just Bailey. When we hit apply, we've got all Baileys. We go just Susie, we hit apply, and we've got just Susie. If we take that off and we hit apply, we should get them all again. The one thing is, because we're showing all dog images, we shouldn't limit them the number, so that's one thing we've got to change. So here, all dog images, we've got this page with 10 items. Let's just go ahead and click that off with a 0, hit apply, and we actually screwed that up because we did it to all items. Sorry, that's why you always got to be careful, so we'll put that back to 10. Remember, we've got all displays here, except overridden. So if we go back to our dog images, when we go to paged here, first thing that we've got to do when we're dealing with multiple views is make sure that we override. So we overrode, hit apply, and then we save. So very last thing that I want to show you in this video tutorial, you remember if we go back to dog images /all, we've got the filter here on top of the actual view. You may not want this. You might want it to be off to the side, and there's an ability to do that. You can create it as an exposed block. So I'm going to show you how to do that just quickly. Go back to edit the view. So here under the advanced tab, make sure we're on our page all dogs, right, with exposed filter, exposed form and block, right? So anything that's exposed to the user will be in a block. Let's go ahead. We're going to choose yes. Right, and expose form style. So we can look at this basic. Input required, don't worry about that. Look at the settings. So we can go ahead, we can include a reset button. So if we want to change this, we can go make that filter so you can see what I'm talking about. And we could do auto submit, but again, don't really want to do that because you want users to be able to choose multiple. So that's fine. I believe that's it. So we'll go ahead and we'll save this. And we go to all dog images. You see that we don't have our filter here anymore. But we also don't have it on the side. So something is obviously wrong. And that something, I'm not sure what's going on there. I think that's just my browser. That something is, if you go to blocks, scroll down, we have exposed form, dog filter, dog images, page 3. That's our exposed filter. So we're going to put that in the sidebar. We don't want it on the second, sorry, we want it on the first. And we'll put that there. We'll go ahead and we'll save this. Now we go back to the home page. Remember we put a block on the side, right? So obviously we're getting this block filter on a page that we shouldn't necessarily be getting, because if we go ahead and we go filter, it takes us right to the page for all dogs, but it's weird to have that on the home page when there's no specific filter, no images to filter. So again, we've got to go back to configure the block and show this only on the listed page. It's going to be dog images slash all. We'll go ahead and save that block. Right? Now it's gone from the home page. So if we go into dog images, again, not here, all dogs, and we have our filter. And we've got, remember we changed from apply to filter, and we added a reset button, so we can go ahead and hit just Bailey, hit the reset, and we're back to all images. Again, that's in case, remember when we did it the first time, we went ahead and did filter, and then we took those off and we hit filter. Users, that might not be intuitive for users, so you got the reset button there. Again, I know this is a bit of a redundant example because we already had the view dog images up with all the dogs, and then we had them separated here. But for continuity purposes, we created the additional view that's all dogs, exposed the filter, and then again, when we're on dog images, we've got this attachment that's shown for users to show the most current. Again, good example of why you might do that is looking at a store locator. I've got a video tutorial on that. You might want to check it out to see what that end product could look like if that's something you're interested in. But attachments are pretty powerful, pretty cool tool to use in with views. So that's it. Hope this video tutorial helped. Hopefully they'll be coming out a little bit quicker. I know I keep saying that, but the new year was a little bit of a busy time, so I didn't get as many done as I would have liked to. And we'll see you in the next video tutorial. Please leave a thumbs up if this helped. Thanks.